So to learn the rich history there in Puerto Rico, to see the active engagement of the way that these artists negotiate any obstacles with the embargo and not being able to get certain supplies, they make art, not excuses.
Hello, print friends, and welcome. This is a bilingual podcast, so if you subscribe to us, you'll get episodes in English with me, as well as in Spanish with Reynaldo Gil Zambrano. Together, we speak with people around the globe about their practice and passions in the field of print media and multiples. This episode is brought to you by Legion Paper. Legion Paper is a fine art paper company that represents the best papers in the world. They either stock it, source it, or make it with brands like Stonehenge, Somerset, Coventry, Reeves, Arches, and more. Legion is the best paper resource for every artist and printmaker's needs. Learn more about the variety of papers Legion stocks at www.legionpaper.com. Print friends, I am partnering with Print Austin to bring you an exciting giveaway. A 2-week printmaking residency in Thailand. You heard that right. 2 weeks making prints in a tropical paradise, eating world-renowned cuisine. You can apply directly through the Print Austin website, and I have an exclusive discount code for my listeners. Use the code PRINTFRIEND on your application, and it brings the fee down to just $25. Check out the link in the show notes for more information. My guests this week are Claudia Wilburn and Joseph Velasquez, who are joining me today to talk about the Southern Graphics Council International, the largest and oldest professional print organization in the United States. We talk about what is it about printmakers that makes us want to organize and celebrate our love of the medium together, the 50-plus year history of SGCI, and what people can expect and get excited about for the upcoming conference in San Juan, Puerto Rico, happening April 2nd through 5th of this year. Hi, Joseph. Hi, Claudia. How's it going?
Good.
It's going well. Good to see you, Miranda. Thank you for having us.
It's so nice to see you both. We have connected in person and digitally for many years now across the spectrum of printmaking and print arts globally. And I'm really excited to get a chance to talk to you both today about SGCI, about the upcoming conference, and about printmakers and print community more broadly, and why we all love to be a part of it.
That's great. That's really great. And I think the organization is excited to both have this opportunity to speak with you and the broader audience internationally to really show and share what our organization has to offer during the pandemic, which pretty much every organization globally has suffered. Membership loss, attrition, and ways to regain their footing is what we're all facing now. And that's one of the things that we've engaged within our service to this organization, is trying to help it and uplift it and increase our membership and really show everybody the beauty of this engagement of this organization and why it was founded to begin with.
Beautiful. So before we dive in, would you two introduce yourselves and answer my questions of who you are, where you are, what you do?
Hi, my name is Joseph Velasquez. I am the head of printmaking, assistant professor of art at Florida Atlantic University, and chair of the art department. I am currently serving as vice president of Southern Graphic International, and I'm the co-founder of Drive-By Press, mobile printmaking studio.
My name is Claudia Wilburn. I'm the department chair of art and design at Brenau University. It's a tiny little liberal arts college in Gainesville, Georgia. And I've been the president for SGCI since 2023 to 2025. We are recruiting new board members. If you're interested, we can talk. To give you a little bit of background, we will refer to SGCI, or the Southern Graphics Council International. The name's changed a few times over the years. It's an organization that has been around since the late 1970s, originally founded by Boyd Saunders and a couple of other old school print that wanted to have an academic resource for printmaking in the southeastern United States. And from there, it grew and it blossomed, and it really started to take off in the early 2000s, somewhere around 2005 through about even up to 2018. there was a strong increase in membership and population, and lots of changes in the conference itself just kind of blossomed. And to the point where we were really excited about going to Puerto Rico for our annual conference in 2020. And now we are an organization that has about half the membership that we did in 2020. So we are at an exciting point where we actually get to look at the future of our organization. We get to pivot a little bit, and we get to come up with some creative and new ways to enrich our members. And we've got some ideas that we're going to float past everyone at the next conference too.
Very cool. Yeah, I knew SGCI really through the conferences. My first conference was San Francisco, which was 2013, I think. And I had just started working as the director of contemporary printmaking at Davidson Galleries in Seattle, and I got to go there through work. And I had been in print for a while at that point. I'd done a master's in art history with a focus in the history of printmaking. I'd worked with prints in the public for a while at that point, educating people through my work at the gallery. And what I really remember about that first conference was the feeling that every person in this room not only knows what I do and what I work with, but they love it. And it was such a different feeling from navigating the world as somebody who has such a passion and a love for this medium. But understanding when you try and share that, you're almost always starting at, I would say not even 0, sometimes like a -5, right? Like in terms of like how people understand it. And so it was such a powerful experience and rewarding experience for me to do my first conference. And I think I'd love to hear you both talk about maybe your first experience with an SGCI conference, or even if you want to go back even further, your first experience when you realized that printmaking really has this incredible community. And it's something we talk about a lot. It's something we talk about on the podcast. The very name of it, Hello Print Friend, speaks to that community and why that's so valuable professionally, artistically, emotionally, I think, to foster that feeling. So whether that is through SGCI or through, we hear people tell stories about that first late night editioning before finals in a print shop. It's all part of this spectrum of printmakers loving to be around other printmakers.
Yeah, so I'll start with my printmaking origin story, or my provenance, if you will. I did undergrad at Clemson University, and so she was my second printmaking teacher, but Sid Cross will always be the professor that I've modeled my own teaching style after because of her honesty and her desire to see me succeed. I think I might have redone every print project for Sid Cross in my sophomore year of undergrad. And then I did grad school at the University of South Carolina. That's where Boyd Saunders was from. I worked with Mary Robinson, who followed Boyd in the department. And I went to my first SGCI was in Richmond, Virginia in 2007. And Leslie Dill was the keynote address. And it was the first time we were at Virginia Commonwealth University, and I got to see something made on a 3D printer, and it was fascinating. And you're absolutely right. The concept of, what was your first SGCI conference? That's a conversation that we have. That's a memory that it's a core. It's part of that, who we are, who we connect to. And I'll even say this, the three of us got to connect in Austin, Texas in February. And I was having a little bit of a rough patch, little emotional roller coaster. And that just being in the room with a whole bunch of other artists who we all love process, and we're going to talk to each other. And I learned some things I didn't know just by having conversations with other printmakers. And it's a really strong community. We could talk about the concept that SGCI was also founded on a bottle of Jack Daniels in New Orleans. But so if you are coming to the conference, there are some opportunities to enjoy conversation and beverages while we are discussing the future of SGCI.
Great.
My first SGCI was in 2003. And to give you a little bit of my history is I had the privilege and opportunity and the fortune or misfortune, depending on who you ask, of learning under my undergraduate professor was John Hancock of the Amazing Hancock Brothers, and one of the pillars of the Outlaws of Printmaking. While at his school, my first visiting artist was none other than the dirtiest printmaker to ever spray out some ink, Sean Star Wars. And so that gives you a little bit of my genetic DNA going forward. While in school with John, I went for 3 years straight from, I think, 2002, 3, and 4. I went to Frogman's Print and Paper Workshop, where I was able to really become captivated with what printmaking had to offer as far as a community. And within that community, what I mean is I met my best friends that I had just met for the first time in my life. And that's the kind of people that you meet when you come to a conference. That's the kind of people you meet when you go to Frogman's. I took this class, this intaglio class with Oscar Gillespie, with one of the most amazing engravers in the country. And the next week, I took a monoprint class with Michael Krieger and Jenny Schmidt. And I'm in the class and I'm sitting there and I'm drawing in my sketchbook, and there's this really tall dude next to me, and he's, hey, what are you drawing there? And I show him, and he takes my sketchbook and he goes, man, this is really great. And he's drawing, and he was like, hey, you want to go to lunch? And I'm like, yeah. And I go to lunch with this dude, and he's a few years my senior, but he's just showing me some love and showing me some mentorship and like being really engaged in what I'm doing. And then he goes off with some of the elders, and I'm there with some of the other new pups. And one of the people was like, man, you're just so casual talking to him. Do you even know who that is? And I was like, I have no idea. And the guy was like, man, that guy's like a superstar of printmaking. That's Bill Fick. And I was like, oh. And I didn't know I didn't know he was somebody. I thought he was just a dude that was really cool. And that's how everybody was who I met. And when I went to that first Frogman's, one of my best friends who I met there was Paul Roden and Valerie Luth from Tugboat Print Shop, taking a class with Michael Barnes, taking a class with Oscar, taking the class with Linwood Krennick in screen printing, who was like the godfather of Speedball ink, which there would be none of the water-based screen printing ink if there wasn't for my grand printer, Linwood Krennick, who was Hancock's professor. So that being his printmaking professor, whenever I would see Linwood, he would be like, oh, hello, Joseph, my grand printer. Nice to see you. And that kind of love that I received from everybody. And this was the beauty I found about printmaking as opposed to painting. And I don't mean to be throwing shade on painting, because I can sell more. My paintings sell better than my prints do as far as cash goes, because they hug the wall and keep it warmer. But the with painting, it would just seem like it's more secluded and isolated, where you don't really throw a sheet over the drying rack. We're like, in printmaking, I found that people are just foaming at the mouth to tell you how they did something. Now, the why they did something, their concept, that's yours, and that's something you might hold close to your chest. But as far as how you got there, the technique and process, like this is a process that began from the guild system, as you all know. This is something that you had to go to a trade school to learn. This is something that we're all doing now that first began as a commercial intent that we now use as an artistic expression. And if we don't share these techniques, it does not advance. So there is a beauty about being able to share. There is that brother and sisterhood that we share and being able to engage with one another. And it creates these really tight bonds of friendship and communion with one another. And that community is something that I've always longed for, that I look forward to, whether it be at Frogman's or the conference. My first SGC in 2003, when we went to Boston, and as a Chicano artist, is like I would say one of the first Latinx or few Latinx artists that began in that time. I knew the other five. Going to the conference, we would see each other, and there was not that many people of color at that time that were engaging in the printmaking conference. And you see it now, and we're so much more strongly represented, and it's so beautiful. I'm so excited to see that we have that kind of equity evolved within our discipline. But when I first went there, I didn't really see that. And I walked in to the conference, and I see there was this artist, and she was doing these monoprints, and I'm like, what is going on there? And she was like, oh, hi. And she was the sweetest person, and she was like, oh, I'm just pulling this monoprint. here, do you want it? And I was like, you're going to give this to me? And she was like, yeah, watch, I'm going to make another one. And when I was like, let me help you out. And she was like, you don't have an apron? And I was like, that's okay. Look at my clothes. And I helped her out. And that was none other than Melanie Yazzie, the most amazing giant heart. Everybody who knows and has the opportunity to touch the grace and presence of Melanie Yazzie know what I'm talking about. With her heart is the size of Texas, man. And that love that she gave to me just really exemplifies printmaking. And it really exemplifies the core of which SGC has been founded and poured our foundation. And so now at this point in my career, a couple of decades later, being able to serve and help uplift or do what I can for this organization, it means a lot for me to give back what was so easily given to me. And so I'm so eager for this service and this opportunity of what we're now bringing to Puerto Rico, and having this opportunity to engage to a larger audience internationally is something that I really find captivating, because I think this is the next step for our conference. And this is the next step for organization as we bring in globally.
And on that note, one of the conversations Joseph and I have had many times in the last year or 2 years, 3 years, is the need not only to have more meaningful interactions and opportunities for our membership, but how do we honor the I in SGCI? How do we really bring a little bit more international into the international organization? And in terms of having a conference, this is the first time we are outside of the continental U.S. It's close. It's nearby. It's beautiful. The people are great. It's a good place for us to get started. But I think we also are looking at other opportunities, other ideas, other ways that we might connect or create something that people could interact with that's not just an annual conference. Perhaps we do some theme portfolios that are then shown at an international location. And if you wanted to show up for the exhibition, you could. So we've got a lot of ideas that we're going to be talking to the membership about, because we're really at a pivotal moment where we can change our organization for the better.
Chiang Mai has some really nice printmaking.
It sure does.
We could probably
talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, let's have a chat. It's got great food, 300 historical and contemporary Buddhist temples, and 12 print shops in a city of only 100,000 people. Wow. We'll chat. We can chat.
Yeah, we know someone in the area.
You have a print friend here. Yeah. One of the questions I am always perennially interested in is this philosophical, sociological question of what makes printmakers so wonderful. Joseph spoke to that cultural difference between painting and printmaking a little bit in his answer. And the fact that beautiful idea of like my best friend who I just met. And I would say, I have lived, like I've gone places, I've met a lot of people. I've lived in 6 cities on 3 continents in the last 7 years. And I have never encountered a community as just gregarious, welcoming, non-judgmental as when you just get a group of printmakers together. And so I'm always curious as to what is it about people who want to practice this medium that make them just the absolute best company. And the foundation on which I've run a podcast for 7 years is the fact that I can pretty much pick a random printmaker out of a hat and without prepping them or vetting them, just say, do you want to come have an hour-long conversation with me? And they show up and they're lovely and they want to talk about printmaking. I could not do that with painters. I've worked with painters. That would not be an option.
Yeah. And Joseph really hit on a lot of that. The community itself, if I'm in the classroom, the students are working together. They're not just individualistic. They're not just focused on their own thing. They're also, oh, hey, you could try this. This might help. They're very engaging with each other. And we do the same things. That the idea of the print studio isn't a one-man kind of something most of the time. And the other thing that I think of when I think of like printmakers is we like process. We like to follow the rules, and then we like to break the rules. And we want to learn how to break the rules in the most scientific, experimental ways that we can. Because what happens when you ink up a plushie and run it through the press bed? What happens if you go outside and grab some plants and run that through the press? There are the if-thens, and the scientific method is all over the printmaking arts. And it's one of my favorite things about it. But I don't think we could get to the bottom of that question. I think that we could ask everyone that question and all of us would have a little something different to bring to it.
I agree. I think that idea of there is something I want to say that is proletariat about printmaking. There is something that is, in my experience, something very blue collar, and that you roll up your sleeve, that this is process. This is something that you have to, the only way that you're getting this far in is that if you dig this ditch and you have to use this shovel, and there is no easy way. And I think that that's something that really speaks to a lot of printmakers, is that there is a certain division of labor that we see. And I think that's something that I've always been captivated by, is like the democratic process of it all that makes it accessible. And I think that there is a reason behind the idea of us wanting to make the multiple, where it isn't just like this one precious object. It's like what we could do with the multiple and how we can engage, whether it be a broader audience or whether it be other intents that we have through process that translates almost a facsimile of what our intent is. Because with printmaking, I love to equate it like it's like dancing with a partner who likes to lead. And sometimes it forces you to follow. Where if I'm painting, it's just me just dancing, but I'm just Fred Astaire by myself. But if I got Ginger Rogers there, she's doing it, and she's doing it in high heels backwards. And that's printmaking to me, is that I'm being controlled, and there is that translation. The biggest thing I think that we all engage is that we all kind of subscribe to an understanding that with printmaking, we have the opportunity to really ride the elevator of social attainment from the bottom floor to the top. And that we can make a woodcut. We can go out in the streets in Chicago on Michigan Avenue and wheat paste one of that edition. And we can put it up on the wall and we can run from the cops. We can take that same wood block and we can print it on T-shirt. And then we can also take that and we can make it a fine art print and put it behind some glass and mat it and frame it and put it up. So theoretically, some kid wearing the T-shirt that has that wood block passes by the street art that's been wheat pasted on the way to the gallery to see it hung up behind the wall. And I think it just like hits every ladder, every floor within that elevator of that. And I think that we as all printmakers, we get that. And it has that opportunity. That whole accessibility with the democratization of art is the Kool-Aid we all drink. And it seems that we just love that flavor and love to share it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so to talk specifically about this conference that's coming up in a month, I think like a month today, Yeah. Sorry to remind you both, but yeah, it's exactly 1 month from today. As you mentioned, and I think anyone who's followed SGCI and been a member is going to know the lore, but for anyone who's being introduced to this conference was originally planned for 2020. I had tickets to it. I was living in Australia at the time. I was going to fly in all the way from Sydney. And my canceling those tickets and that trip, for me, I think will always be that first marker of understanding how serious the pandemic was going to be. That was the first moment it deeply affected how I was planning on living my life, and then continued from there, because the conferences happened in early April, and it was really early March 2020 that I think the announcement was made, as everything was shutting down, that it couldn't happen for everyone's safety. And so I think that so many people are probably extremely excited to circle back to this and get to live this experience that we all had to put aside because of this global crisis. And so that's one element of it that's quite interesting. But then I think also I would just love to hear your thoughts on why Puerto Rico, why San Juan. As many listeners may know, Hello Print Friend is in the process of planning to do a documentary about the history of printmaking on the island, because it is so interesting. And so I'm sure that's part of it, the motivation for being there. But then also an incredible present as well. And speaking to that kind of expansive view, honoring the I in SGCI, the Puerto Rico is, of course, within the United States, but that expansive view, why start with San Juan? What do you expect that culture, that history, that place to bring to the conference that we haven't seen before?
And why SGCI is happening there. And then I'll get into with the local steering committee and the giants that have really helped us make this and bring it to the finish line. When I too was prepared to come to the conference while Miranda was in at the time, and we're all getting ready when the pandemic hit, and I was in the middle of engaging in an opportunity, not as a board member, but as just as a member of SGCI with the Let's Leave a Press campaign that I helped lead. And again, speaking to the power of printmaking and what we're able to do. And my efforts, along with Blake and Hannah March Sanders, were about helping bring a press to the University of Puerto Rico, Rio Piedras. Following Hurricane Maria came through and it destroyed many places in San Juan and all over the island. And the infrastructure was just rocked for so long. And we all saw it on the news. We all saw what was going on. And in particular, this school lost like a third of its student body because of the dormitories being closed. There was some other issues with finances that had just plagued it. And when those kind of things happen, the likelihood of getting a new press was not going to happen in a generation's time. Due to the windows being smashed in and the damage, there was a press that was there. The Leto press had rust all over it. And we wanted to, when they started to have the planning for the conference to go there, I was like, let's do something more than just have a conference there. Let's engage with the community a little bit more. And when I did the site visit, we had seen that, man, this school really needs some uplifting, and maybe we could come together as a community. And what the plan was that really worked is we had a Indiegogo campaign where I asked many of the giants of printmaking and print publishers to donate prints that we would then auction off and use the proceeds to purchase a used press. And we had amazing print publishers like Bud Shark, Enrique Chagoya, artists, all these others. I can list on, or you can just listen to the previous episode of Hello Print Friend when I talk all about that. And you'll see what our efforts did. And it actually worked. We pulled it off because there at the end, David Takesh family, David and his family, they met us for the rest of the way to get a brand new litho press there at that school. And as I throw my hair over my shoulder, my name is on that press with a plaque. The Bears. Yes. And we did it. And what it really showed is that kind of family that we have. And we're all hermanos y hermanas en tinta. We're all brothers and sisters in ink. And how we all came together. But it was that time whenever I went and I'm looking at their print shops and we're seeing what ways we can help out for the conference. And I was just blown away. And it was something that, and I believe the previous planners and the previous SGCI administrators and board had saw it to begin that plan. I want to make sure to give them their flowers to do that and what their initial plan was. And all those folks that did it, that laid out that initial groundwork, there was a reason why they wanted to have it there. And that's because of the rich printmaking history that exists in Puerto Rico. Like tourism is a large part of their economy. And the viability of them making a painting artist to give to a tourist doesn't make sense, but a print does. And as you'll find out when you study the history and bring it to the attention of the members about what was going on at the States at the WPA at the time, and what was going on in Puerto Rico at that time, and how these Mexican printmakers were brought over to teach and learn about printmaking and all the letterpress stuff that was being installed in Puerto Rico. From that point on, like it's been like such a rich history there on the island, but it's also served what we all know about that history of protest with printmaking and the power of prints with the multiple and being able to get that out. Man, all that stuff was brought to my attention when I was there, and I was so captivated. And I said, this is why we're having the conference here. After the pandemic hit, we met our goal of getting the press there, albeit it was stuck on the docks for 6 months because of the pandemic, but it was there. It made it. And the board nominations came out to serve an SGCI. And Kat Snap nominated me, and I'm going to call her out because you nominated me, so I'm going to call you out, Kat. And I thank her for that because I saw it as an opportunity. And I said, you know what, if I'm going to serve on this board, we're going to do it. We're going to go back to Puerto Rico. And I was like, this is everything I want to pour into to make sure this happens. And when doing so, we had to change it. Like Claudia just said, we had to change the scope of the plan of what we're doing because it's not the same conference. But in this one, when the design was different and that we wanted to make sure that we had an inclusive voice from the island itself. And so establishing a stateside, a committee was so important. Along with having that representation, we all wanted to have local awards too. And we wanted to make sure that we didn't want to just give our flowers to our membership. Hey, we're throwing a party at your house and we want to thank everybody else. We want to make sure that we want to thank those whose party at. And when we were looking for people to do it, I met Aiza and Marcos when I first went to their school at EAPD when they were students. And I actually met their professor, Adi, and I saw the way that Adi had engaged with her students and how they were just so devoted to her and held her in such high regard. It really reminded me of the printmaking history of the icons in America like Lazansky, like Warrington Colescott, like these pillars that we have and have that. And I was like, oh, that's exactly who that is. And that is that version. And to hear that the stateside committee nominated Adi for that Lifetime Achievement Award, I'm like, of course. And I can't wait for our membership and all those to go and see the undergraduate and graduate work that I saw on the island. And it's really going to blow everybody away. So to learn the rich history there in Puerto Rico, to see the active engagement of the way that these artists negotiate any obstacles with the embargo and not being able to get certain supplies, they make art, not excuses, is what I saw about the artists in Puerto Rico. And when I saw that was a mantra that I live with now. And I was like, all right, baby, make art, not excuses. Find a way to get something done because that's the way it gets done on the island. And I want our members to see that. I want everybody to be able to know that history, learn that history. I'm so excited about your project and Rogelio's about sharing that history and unearthing that because that is something that's going to be so beautiful, everyone to know and enrich their own understanding and really appreciate this. And having the opportunity to go to Puerto Rico for this conference, this is a conference that it can't be missed. Like you have got to pawn your guitar amp. You're not going to play that. Put it away. You got to go to Puerto Rico. You got to be a part of this conference because this is not just, okay, maybe we'll go and see that. No, we have designed this to be an immersive cultural experience where you're going to see Martin Garcia Rivera and La Bomba y La Plena, the drums, the dancing that we're going to have. We've all been to a conference and they have a DJ playing and everybody's there standing and no one's doing anything. Man, if there's going to be a DJ playing in Puerto Rico, we are all dancing. You better get on YouTube and TikTok, learn some salsa dance moves because we're going to shake it, stretch, don't pull your muscles. Like it's going to be not just a culturally enriching time. It's going to be just your face is going to hurt from smiling. And we all deserve this joy, especially in this dark cloud of a time in the world that we're living in. We need to treat ourselves. And we've been working so hard. And after getting out, I feel that we're trying to all get back to normalcy after COVID and rebuild our organization. But this is the one. This is the one that's not to be missed.
I'm so excited. I definitely was before this chat and then just hearing you both talk about how wonderful it's going to be. And I think that I have gotten amazing things out of SGCI conferences personally and professionally. I met my husband at an SGCI conference in Atlanta, and then I married him in Las Vegas. I can't.
During the conference or?
During the conference, yeah.
Congratulations. All right. That's the second wedding at an SGCI event that I know of.
Yeah, because we thought everyone we know is going to be there anyway.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we should do it while all of our mutuals are in one place that they were planning on traveling to anyway. So yeah,
I met Ronaldo at, I'm sporting my Evil Prince shirt. I met Ronaldo. We both did Tom Huck's boot camp in 2016. And little did we realize that I was roommates with one of his professors when we were in undergrad. It was
oh my gosh.
Yeah, small world.
The tiniest little print world.
Yeah. But that's what makes it great. Just to give an overview of what an SGCI conference looks like, if I'm thinking about it holistically, we're going to have somewhere around 500 people for this conference. In the past, we've had up to 1,400. This is a much smaller conference. We still have room. There's still tickets. We'd love to have you come. But we have a very large vendor fair. And in addition to our vendors that are selling printmaking supplies and materials and residencies and things like that, we'll also have some local Puerto Rican artists in our vendor fair as well. We've got about 30 something people in that area. We also have one of our favorite things is the open portfolios. And so we have 4 sessions of open portfolios where students and professionals alike are in the same room, have their work out on a table, and hundreds of people are coming through that room, taking a look at what's going on, what's happening, asking you about your work. And again, this could be people like Art Werger, or it could be the freshman from Iowa State that had to be at the table with his one print in order to get funding from his university. But it's a fantastic thing. But we also have academic panels that are national and international. Our keynote address is actually going to be in Spanish. There will be subtitles. We will have an English translation on the screen. But Adi Landing, who the steering committee in Puerto Rico has given the Lifetime Achievement Award to, is more comfortable speaking in her native tongue. And so we're going to honor that. So the presidential panel is going to be all about women printmakers in Puerto Rico. I am so excited about that. They're going to talk about the history. They're going to talk about the culture. They're going to talk about the politics, and they're going to talk about the feminine edge from what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Puerto Rico is a very female-driven culture, at least in what I have seen so far. And so having the women printmakers really be there and to be able to talk about the changes they saw in their lifetime in this media and the impact that print has had in their government and their politics and just in their day-to-day lives. So open portfolios, vendor fair, presidential panel, keynote address, workshops and demonstrations. These are the bread and butter of the SGCI conference. You can show up to a room and you can learn a new process. And then after an hour, you can leave that room, go to another one and learn something else. And you can take notes and you can ask questions, and it is so much fun. And you're usually in the room with many other people, and people are like hanging onto the rafters, climbing up on tables so that they can also watch what's going on. And it was really, as a grad student, that was my favorite part of the SGCI conference was the demonstrations. I would get there early and with my sketchbook. And lastly, we also have these things called incubators. And incubators they're a conversation. It's a conversation that's led by an individual, and it could cover any topics print related or community related. Or I went to one that was printmaking on textiles in Providence because that's something I've been playing with recently. And we're able to share images, talk to each other. And you might have 30 people in that room and you have no idea where the conversation's going to go. You know where it's going to start, but it will meander and then come back around. And then we are also celebrating some of our award winners. For the listeners who have not really heard of SGCI, we've got some pretty cool awards that we give out at our conferences that come with actual money prizes. We are covering the cost of the flight to Puerto Rico, to the registration for the conference for some of these award winners. The students, undergraduate and graduate students, are offered exhibitions. And so we've got some students who will have an international exhibition record after the Puerto Rico conference, which is fantastic. The pop-up exhibitions are very reasonably short runs. Some of these pop-ups will only be up for a day. Some of them will be up for just the week, and that's it. That's all we get. But the interaction and the sharing of work and those things is fantastic. And then finally, we do theme portfolios. The theme portfolios, somebody pitches an idea, then they sell that idea to a whole bunch of their friends. All of their friends start participating. Everybody creates a print that has a bird on it. And as part of these theme portfolios, we have a connection with the Zuckerman Museum of Art in Kennesaw, where the SGCI collection is. And all of the portfolios from Puerto Rico will be, if not already, are housed with the collection of the SGCI archives at the Zuckerman. And some of those portfolios will also go into collections on the island, which is really exciting. And so that's an overview of bird's eye view of what the conference itself looks like.
Yeah, they're always a highlight, honestly, of my year. And it's seeing close friends that I carry love and affection for throughout the year. And then you get to see them and embrace them and talk to them and break bread with them. And you just come back so revitalized, honestly, from it.
Yeah.
And I was having a conversation with someone recently who lives on the island, and she studied printmaking in college, but she's thinking about getting back into it. And she was asking me, would this conference be appropriate for someone who's not already deep inside printmaking, the way I think the three of us can probably self-identify as, or as I sometimes very maturely try to describe it to people, I am so far up printmaking's butt. It's insane at this point in my life. But so people who might be thinking like, oh, like I'm a hobbyist or I didn't study it, I think that people can still be so inspired, even if they're not a printmaking professor and even if they're not haven't rubbed shoulders with Bill Fick at that kind of thing. But maybe you could speak to that as well for people who are thinking they may not even like fully identify as a printmaker, but what could they get out of an experience like this?
Even every undergraduate student I've ever brought to a conference or been with at a conference comes back with so much knowledge gained. But to what you said, you don't have to be in school. You don't have to be a student. You could just be somebody who thinks stamps are cool. And if you think stamps are cool, then yes, we're your people. You should come hang out with us. We will teach you how to make your own stamps and your own Christmas cards and stickers that you're going to leave on the side of the road. But the engagement that takes place, you can have as many conversations or as few conversations as you want. Even the introverts do well at an SGCI conference because there's so many visuals. You don't necessarily have to have the conversations. You can go by and look at the 25 themed portfolios that we will have all around Old San Juan and Rio Piedras. There is going to be so much print art by so many people and so many different processes that just the sheer looking at and absorbing what's going on is going to be exciting.
For those just on the outskirts of really buying into printmaking, or has just, I took this one class here, or I'm just getting into it. Yeah, this conference is for you as well, because this is your opportunity to really be exposed to all levels of what Claudia just described. You're going to see people at the beginning, the emerging printmakers, but you're also going to see the pillars that are there, that these giants that we all stand on shoulders of. And you'll be able to see those representations of their work, of really excellence in technique and concept and execution of process. And you have to start somewhere. And it isn't an opportunity or a place where people want to see your membership card. No one there checks, how long have you been a member? No one says, how long? Let me see your stripes on your sleeve. It's not like that. We're not like like turtles with the spots on their back where you can tell how old they are and how to do it. You just go and you appreciate the love of seeing the prints and being engaged and knowing that this is a place, it's a safe place where you can go and you can ask a question to the person next to you have not known. And they're not going to be like, ooh, a sculptor, and go away. They're going to like say, oh yeah, no, it was done like this. You can tell because of the embossment. And that's the telltale giveaway that this is an intaglio. And oh, cool. Thanks. Okay. Thanks. Bye. And you'll have that. It's like a hater-free zone. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the beauty about it all is that you come there, everyone is going to share, whether it be your work, your knowledge, or your friendship and fellowship.
Yeah. Yeah. And I loved what Claudia was saying too about introverts being welcome and that kind of thing, because our wonderful Elizabeth, who helps us with the podcast, helps us with the transcripts, helps us in many ways. I actually did not know that she identified as an introvert for years, because I only saw her at print events where she was so comfortable and extroverted and welcomed and, in with her people. And then it was after working with her for years, she was like, oh, I'm not necessarily normally like this. But I think it's because that welcoming environment and that bond and that shared interest makes people really open up and connect in ways that you would never know otherwise. And that's like such a magical thing as well. Yeah.
The Wednesday, the conference starts on Wednesday, the first week of April. The Thursday, we're going to be flying, in addition to having the open portfolios happening in the afternoons, we'll also be flying kites out on the beach, which is a short walk from the hotel. And the kites aren't just your standard plastic kites. These are print kites. These are kites that were printed. It's a themed portfolio, essentially, of kites that will be flying in the air that you can actually go fly a kite on the Thursday of the conference, which is fun. It's really exciting. It's really exciting. And the facilities that we're going to be at, the Caribe Hilton is lovely. It's a resort hotel. It's great. It really is. But EAPD, which is one of the schools that we're working with in Old San Juan, is beautiful. The people have been fantastic. We'll have pop-up exhibitions, demonstrations. Our awards party is going to be on their campus. The Museum of San Juan is hosting an opening event for us on that Wednesday night. And everything kind of culminates there at the end on Saturday whenever we have live music playing at EAPD for the awards party. So it's really going to be a fantastic event. I hear Hello Print Friend is going to be showing the Oaxaca documentary on Friday morning in the St. Cristobal Ballroom.
So excited to share that.
In my head, it's the schedule. I have the schedule. I've got it down. I know what's
tattooed on the inside of your eyelids. Yeah.
What's going on. I also would like to say thank you to Gino. Gino has been a rock star. Works with Joseph, and I didn't want to. Gino's last name,
Castellanos? Yeah, Castellanos.
Okay, I did better than I was expecting. But Gino is doing something unprecedented in SGCI history, which is he's created our program, and now he's translating it into Spanish. And so we will have two programs. We will have an English and a Spanish translation for our programs, and this is the first time we've ever done that. It's the second conference where we've been very attentive to ADA transportation, and our transportation on Thursday night, Friday, and Saturday. We will always have a ADA available transport that's going to go straight to the door and drop off our people who are not as able-bodied, to make sure that their experience is also going to be good and comfortable. And those of us who can walk, we're going to walk, or we're going to hit up a scooter or take an Uber. Uber works on the island, Lyft doesn't. There are plenty of ride services, plenty of taxis, plenty of ways to get around. And the weather, I hear, is going to be ideal. Also, the hotel's right on the beach. So it's going to be great.
Yeah, one thing I want to add within that about the hotel is The hotel where we're having quite a few things for the conference. It's also the hotel where the Pina Colada was created. And so when you check in, you get a complimentary glass and boom, welcome. And drinking age is 18. My students are so excited. I have 14 students coming and they had their little print club sales and they were printing up their woodblock printed t-shirts using drive-by press textile black ink and raise enough money to get a couple of rooms. And they're so stoked about it. And I had to tell a couple of my grads, hey, I'm busy, so you need to keep a charge on these people. I don't want it to get wild.
Sounds amazing. If and how could people not be inspired to learn more after this conversation? Where can they do that? Claudia said that there's still room for people to come and join us. Tell us, how do you do that?
Okay, so our website, it may not be the simplest website to navigate at the moment, but we appreciate your patience. But if you go to the website, it's sgcinternational.org. You could type in Southern Graphics, you could type in SGC International, you could type in SGCI, you'll get there. And but the website itself is SGC International. And the conference registration is there. You are expected to be a member to sign up to register. You can sign up for a non-member registration, but it might as well be cost effective. And we're cool. And once you have a membership, you can do other things through our membership. Get our newsletter and our journal, Graphic Impressions, which has a new edition quarterly, one that came out in January, which is quite fantastic. And you can also follow us on Instagram at SGC International. You can use the Instagram to get to the website. That's what I got.
Yeah. And along with the membership and to encourage people to sign up is one thing that you will get with membership going forward is you'll have from this conference, you'll have not the demonstrations, but there will be some recordings from the conference that will be posted to the website and accessible to members. And it won't be until probably a couple of weeks after to give us time to upload that to the website. But that's what you're going to have. There's also other things with the website that you get and different calls for entries and awards and different engagements from our memberships for their own portfolio exchanges and other conference exhibitions that we host. That kind of stuff is a great incentive as to why be a member. And yes.
Yeah. Wonderful. Okay. I will put links to all of that in the show notes for this. And thank you all for letting me borrow some of your time. As we said, it's only a month away. I think Joseph spoke to the fact that we're in, I think a lot of people are experiencing a rough season at the moment for many reasons going out there in the world. And I can just, again, speak from personal experience how much these conferences fill my cup, inspire me, make me feel grateful for the community, and really give me strength and motivation and passion and hope and inspiration to go back to day-to-day life and keep doing what I do. So it's a wonderful way to do a little self-care and fly a kite on the beach and get a free pina colada. All good things.
And Miranda, I want to take a moment from SGCI. We really want to take a moment to say thank you for all that you've done with Hello Print Friend and being able to engage in this broader audience and working with us. We appreciate this opportunity and partnership and look forward to other engagements that we can have with you going forward that can just raise and uplift all printmaking internationally.
Thank you. I'm really excited too. You two are just delightful.
And who knows, maybe there might be something in Thailand in the future.
We'll discuss it over pina coladas in San Juan.
We love it. Let's do it.
Claudia's just offered to buy the first couple rounds, so there we go.
I put it on the SGCI card. Sign up for day inking.
If you like today's episode, we have a Patreon where you can help support this podcast and get bonus content, like Shop Talk Shorts with past guests. But the best thing you can do to support this podcast is listen, rate, follow, and share with your fellow print friends around the world. This episode, like all episodes, was written and produced by me, Miranda Metcalf, with editing by Timothy Pauschak and music by Joshua Weber. I'll see you in 2 weeks.